RaiderNation, what's going on? It's Mitchell Renz here, host of the Raiders Report, and coming up live on today's show, we're going to get into some news and rumors around Aidan O'Connell, Justin Fields. We're going to talk a little bit here about Russell Wilson, and then there is a corner that has been reported for the Raiders of them being very interested in him during free agency. I'll tell you who it is, and I'll tell you what I think about the Raiders potentially targeting him. What I also wanted to do is, in this crazy offseason that we've had, I have put together lists of quarterbacks in ranks of who I believe is the most likely to start, who I would want the Raiders to go out and get. But today is going to be my final quarterback wish list for the Las Vegas Raiders. So what I have here is my top 10 quarterbacks that I want to see under center for the Silver and Black, ranked from 10 all the way down to 1. And then I know free agency is difficult, and with the amount of money that the Raiders have, and then with the amount of money that the Raiders could have, I wanted to put together my 10-step free agency plan that I'm hoping Antonio Pierce and Tom Telesco take a look at here on today's show. As always, if anybody wants to get a question, comment up here, you can use hashtag Raiders or Super Chat. We'd be loving to get some of those questions flowing in here on today's show. I am joined again by my man Jake Chipper, which if there's any 76er fans out there, he wants to know where you're at. I want to know, which quarterback do you want to be the Raiders starter in 2024? I anticipate the majority of the answers here are going to be flowing in for Jayden Daniels and a lot of the young rookie quarterbacks that are out there. What are your thoughts on Jayden Daniels overall, Chip? You're a big college football guy. Jayden, yes, no? Do you think teams should be willing to want to trade into the top 3 for him?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I wouldn't take him 1. I'm still taking Caleb.
Okay.
And probably still Drake May, but I think all 3 are going to be very successful. I love Jayden Daniels.
I see Rob Bates, G-Money, what up, Yoda, Real Cowboy, Juan Hernandez, going to say Jayden Daniels, Mr. John Scheffler here in the building, Agent Red, G-Money, Rusty T, whoever we draft from David's on. I should also mention that tomorrow we are also going to be live, 4 p.m. Eastern Time, Raiders Friday Happy Hour. No drinks are going to be going down today, obviously, unless somebody makes me hit the gong. I do have to try to get out of here, though, in about 2 hours. Alex and I, we're going to the place where we're doing our wedding vows, and it's kind of on me. I kind of forgot that we were doing it today, and she texted me, and she's like, hey, just so you know, you got to leave work today by 5:30 my time. So I'm just telling you right now, it's not going to get too wild here on today's show. But I do see Toasty Topic. What's up, man? Miguel Guerrero, peace out to you. Luis Rodriguez going to be rolling with Jayden Daniels. Jay says yes to Justin Fields. JJ McCarthy from Mike. I love seeing all these different answers flowing, and that's what this show's about. Just because somebody has a different opinion doesn't mean it's the wrong one. I want to have an adult conversation and figure out what's best for the Las Vegas Raiders. All right, let's go to the next question here on today's show. Who is the number 1 free agent that the Raiders should sign? So the number 1 dude, think about, you have all this money, and if you were to invest the money into one player, who is it? Is it Christian Wilkins? Is it Chris Jones? Maybe some people think it's Russell Wilson. Maybe it's somebody like Kirk Cousins out there. If you had the power to say, we're getting one free agent, even if that was the only free agent that you were going to get, who would you want the Raiders to go out and get? I see Jayden. I think you're still talking about the draft question. I see nothing but Chris Jones's.
Yeah, not a surprise.
See nothing but Christian Wilkins is in there. Your boy Flex says Tre'Davious White. Tre'Davious White, him and Jordan Poyer and a lot of other Buffalo Bills players were released yesterday. I do think Trey White is a special talent when healthy, but he has not been healthy for 3 years now, it almost seems. Like when he was healthy, the last time we saw him, he was one of the better, if not one of the best corners in the National Football League. But not anymore, man. Somebody said LW. I think that's Leonard Williams from Peter Ramirez.
There's been a few of those, yeah. Someone said Avonte Maddox. That's your one pick? That's your one guy?
You get one person to sign. Give me Maddox. The only Maddox I'm taking, number 1, is Greg Maddox, and I don't think that we're even talking about the same sport here. Leonard Williams is a USC guy. I believe that he grew up a Raider fan as well. And, you could get Leonard Williams this offseason probably for somewhere around $16, $17, $18 million per year. Or are you going to spend the extra money on Christian Wilkins? Or are you going to go out and break the bank on Chris Jones? If I told you, you could get DJ Reader and Leonard Williams for the same price as Chris Jones, Like, I think Chris Jones is a phenomenal player. Don't get me wrong, but that's tempting.
It's tempting. I might still go with Chris Jones.
You might still. Okay.
I'm not going to lie.
You steal him away from Kansas City. That's definitely got some good stuff there. Joe Flacco from David's on. Now you're trolling. All right, man, we got 569 people here tuning into the show right now. If you haven't already, make sure you click the like button. It does help us out quite a bit. We are also going to be doing a 50-50 raffle. It's going to be $10 to get in. At Mitchell Renz 365. You can hit me up if you got me as a friend. Awesome. Simple, easy. If you're like, Mitch, we're not friends on Venmo, add me as a friend. Here's how you find it. If you're watching on your phone, I would recommend just typing in the at Mitchell Renz 365. If you're watching on your laptop, computer, television, just get out your phone, go to your camera, scan that QR code. That way you can add me as a friend. At the very end of the show, we'll run a duck race. I don't know what race that we're going to end up doing. Yesterday or Tuesday, we ended up giving away, it was like $200 and something. Justin Gilbert has been the first person in. I want to say my last 5 races that we've done here on this show. So shout out to Justin. You know what, Justin, because you've been the first one in so many times, I'm going to give Justin Gilbert another entry, and I'm going to pay for that one. So, Justin, you're in not once, but you're going to be in twice, because what I appreciate the first person that does a duck race, Chip, it kind of reminds me of, I'm going to go back to my middle school dance days, right? Where it's guys on one side, girls on the other side, and until somebody has the courage to walk in the middle and start dancing, nobody dances. Justin Gilbert, I appreciate that, man. Let's go to Steven. It's important. You got to break the ice. It's also, did you ever play the game Breaking the Ice?
Oh, you tap the...
Oh, maybe it's a different game. So the game that I had when I was a kid, it was, you had marbles, and there were penguins on the box, and essentially you would lay down a piece of toilet paper, and you would wet it. And you'd have to put your marbles on this piece of toilet paper, and whoever's marble ended up breaking the ice lost.
Oh, I was thinking of a game called Don't Break the Ice. Don't break. That's where my head was.
Maybe it's the same game.
No, it's definitely very different.
Same names, maybe different game. Rockwell, sign Russ, draft Penix in the second round, right tackle in the first round, sign Reader and Leonard Williams, and let's go. I mean, I'll tell you this right now, that's a hell of a plan. And if you were to sign Russell Wilson, you would also have the same amount of money to go out and get Reader. You'd also be able to go out and get Leonard Williams on top of that. I don't know if Michael Penix Jr. is going to be there in the second round, just full transparency. There was a chance that he might have fell. Now, with him having a solid Senior Bowl, with him having a solid college football season, the only bad game that he had was against Michigan in the national championship game where they beat him up pretty bad. But at the Combine, he looked really good. All the reports are that no NFL teams are really worried about his medicals because everything checked out positive. So with all of that, I would be shocked if Penix did fall to round 2, and I say that after just releasing a mock draft this morning where I got Penix at 44 overall. I think if the Raiders wanted to do this, you probably would have to trade up in the back end of the first round. That way you'd get him. So if it was your second round pick, and then it might be a first round pick in next year's draft. We go from 44 up to the 20s, probably somewhere in that regard. But I don't mind the idea of signing Russell Wilson. That's very transparent to me. If the Raiders want to sign Russell Wilson, I'm not against it, only if you get him for $1.21 million. You're getting a top 16 quarterback at that price tag. That's a pretty damn good price tag to me. Let's go to LA Crash Dog, and if some of y'all are wondering, Mitch, how do I get my questions on the show? You can use hashtag Raiders, or to skip the line, you super chat. Up early today. What up, fam? What did I miss? You've missed 10 minutes of the show, Crash Dog. That's about it. Usually, I get this super chatter question 2 hours from now. You know what I mean? Now you're up.
What did I miss?
You're here, man. You're good. All
Nothing.
We've talked about today is what we're going to be doing on today's show. We're going to be talking about Aidan O'Connell, Justin Fields, quarterback wish list, my 10-step plan for Las Vegas entering free agency. At the end of the day, I'm not saying that I don't have confidence in Antonio Pierce and Tom Telesco. I can't wait to see what they end up doing this offseason. I know I have a lot more confidence in this regime than I did in the last regime. But at the end of the day, I want a little bit of help. I don't think asking for help or searching for help is a sign of weakness. I think it's actually a sign of strength. So hopefully Telesco and Pierce, they look at today's show and they say, all right, this guy's not too bad. And the nation rallies behind him a little bit. Before we get into our very first segment up here on the show, I got a lot of people to add to our duck race. Let's just say that right now. I got Luis Rodriguez. You, sir, are in. James Guevara, which if there's one person that I know, like if you're at a 50-50 raffle and somebody goes, you can have 1 ticket for this much, 3 tickets for this much, or an arm's length, Guevara's getting the arm's length. He's got 4 entries in right now. I see Darren, hopefully I pronounced this one right. It's a new name here. Darren Morris, you in. Darren Morris is in. I see Carlos Alcaraz, you in. Uh-oh. John Butson. What's up, Mercedes? Daniel Topchi, also in. So right now, $10 Venmo for a chance to win. It would be $60 here on the Raiders Report. I'm going to refresh my phone one more time just to make sure that I didn't miss anybody. And, of course, I missed a bunch of people. Jamari Murray is in 3 times. Yeah, see, this race is going to be an electric race. I can already tell you.
It's getting started early here.
Dude, Jamari Murray's in. I see L.A. Crash Dog is in. So off the jump, right now, $10 Venmo, you have a chance to win $80 here on the Raiders Report. This one's going to be interesting. And everybody's favorite producer, Chugs, is in. Which I feel like, you know what? Because Chugs entered, I'm going to put Chip in.
I'm in there, baby.
Chip's going to be in the race as well. I want to see who wins, Chugs or Chip. Whoever finishes higher, they'll be on the show tomorrow with me. Rafael Navarro is in. And Rafael said, you know what, Mitch, you could put me in a few times, giggity. Rafael gets in 3 times. So that means, as it stands, holy crapola. All right, you guys got to give me a second here to catch up. Jose Corona is in. And then I see Jose Corona again. And then another one in here is from Jared Davis. So $10 Venmo right now for a chance to win $120 here on the Raiders Report. I'm all caught up on all the names. The show that's going to be coming up for you next here is going to be around some news and rumors around the silver and black. So we're going to be talking about Aidan O'Connell, Justin Fields, and then a cornerback that Las Vegas is reportedly interested in. Chip, you ready to get this thing rocking? Chip's ready to get this thing going. If you guys are ready to get this thing going as well, I need you to click that like button right now. And then I believe I just saw a few more people get in for our duck race. I'll announce those after this first segment here on the Raiders Report. Raider Nation, what's going on? It's Mitchell Renz here, host of the Raiders Report, and today's show is presented by Manscaped. How many guys, when they woke up this morning, they were like, I wouldn't mind getting a little bit lucky? Well, if your shamrock hasn't been rubbed recently, then guess what? I got something that's going to get you to the over the rainbow. Shout out to Manscaped for hooking up the nation here. All I need you to do, use code Raiders at manscaped.com. That way you're going to get 20% off and free shipping on the best male grooming products out there. So coming up here on the show, are the Las Vegas Raiders interested in Kendall Fuller? I'll give you my opinion on whether or not it would be a good idea to sign him and how interested the Silver and Black are. Justin Fields trade, is it still alive? The Chicago Bears quarterback continues to get linked to the Silver and Black, but does it make any sense? And then the Raiders starting quarterback odds. Right now, Aidan O'Connell is the favorite to be the starter, but does that actually make any sense? I'll give you all of my 2 cents on all of this. But remember, I want you to subscribe to the Raiders Report because I want you, when you watch the show, to know more about the Raiders than your friends and your family. Like, I can remember back in my old school days with my family, we would argue about fantasy football, and I took a lot of pride. I took a lot of, courage to be like, no, I'm going to put my flag right here, like this is my take, and I'm not afraid to stand up for it. I'll also say this. I want people to watch the show, and don't get me wrong, we're going to have some fun. We're going to get wild. We're going to get crazy. It's what we do. But I also want you to be able to learn something. So if you have the opportunity to learn something about the Raiders, hit that subscribe button, turn on those notifications, and if you don't learn anything after a week, unsubscribe. You got nothing to lose. So the first story coming up here is this. Are the Las Vegas Raiders interested in cornerback Kendall Fuller? He is set to hit the open market once free agency begins, and the tampering period begins on March 11th. at, 12 noon, I guess, Eastern time. We're going to be live a little bit before then, so be on the lookout for that. For all the new people that have been watching the show, you might not know what I'm about to do here. So we have something called a Raiders Report rumor meter. If I give a rumor 0 just win babies, it's tuck rule, tuck that. It ain't going to happen. If I say something's 1 just win baby, think of it about 25% chance of happening. 2 just win babies, 50%. 3 just win babies, 75%. And if I give something 4 just win babies, it means it is 100% likely. And here we go. Are the Raiders interested in Kendall Fuller? Hell yeah, they are. 4 just win babies. Believe it, baby. I am telling you right now that Las Vegas is targeting the cornerback from Washington, Kendall Fuller. And this story rolls in from Raider Scout. Some of you know him as Tristan on Twitter. And he is saying that the Raiders will be big players in the market for Fuller. I 100% believe Scout. He's one of the most tight-end guys around the silver and black. I also am a good person in terms of reading the tea leaves. You got to be able to know what exactly is happening around the Las Vegas Raiders. And I made a video 2 days ago at this point, which was around Antonio Pierce being interested and calling it a priority and finding a cornerback 1. Well, guess what? Kendall Fuller is a cornerback 1, and I believe that he's the top corner on the market, with Jalen Johnson getting tagged, with L'Jarius Sneed getting tagged. To me, the number 1 guy that is the top corner in free agency is Kendall Fuller. Now, does this mean that the Raiders are going to sign him? No, it does not mean that. There's going to be a lot of suitors for Fuller. And I do think that the Raiders are also going to look in the draft for a potential corner. I know for a fact that they like Terrion Arnold a lot. Quinion Mitchell is a name to keep in mind. Rakestraw is another name that I've been hearing circulating around the Raiders. Bottom line, though, is this. If the Raiders want to go, well, what if we plan on giving up a lot of draft picks for a quarterback? It's something that we've talked about before. And then you don't think that you're going to have any of those top picks to be able to go get a corner. Could that then show your hand of, all right, we're going to go out and sign one of the top corners in free agency? Fuller at 5'11", 200 pounds, 79 tackles, 9 PBUs, 2 INTs last season. He was one of the highest graded corners according to PFF. And this is one of those dudes that's been able to play over 1,000 snaps in 3 straight seasons, which I do think is a very important thing for this Raiders defense, considering the fact of how many different players that they're going to have in that secondary. Meek Robertson, gone. Marcus Peters obviously is no longer a part of this team. The only 2 corners that I have legitimate faith in as it stands right now, it is Nate Hobbs, and then the other name is Jack Jones. Besides that, the Raiders need to be able to find somebody that can not only be a legit starter, but can also give them a little bit of versatility, because that's something that Patrick Graham continues to look for in his corners. And if there's one thing that I'll look for, the number 1 most important thing when I look at PFF grades, it's coverage. Like, yeah, don't get me wrong, I want a corner that can tackle, I want a corner that can get after the quarterback, but I want a corner that can freaking cover. And Kendall Fuller last season might have been the only bright spot on that Washington Commanders defense, considering how bad that Commanders defense was and how good Fuller is. Him getting really close to age 30, this might be some of the best football that he's about to play. So for me personally, Kendall Fuller would be a great fit with the Las Vegas Raiders. I'm not going to go out and try to break the bank on him, and I don't anticipate that he gets a contract over $14 million a year. I'll admit, because Sneed and Jalen Johnson are no longer a part of this whole conversation, he might be, the price tag might go up a little bit. If the Raiders got to spend more than $14-15 million on a corner, I'll say no to that. I would rather them invest that money on a DJ Raider, Leonard Williams, somebody like a Christian Wilkins. Hell, let's even go all in right for Chris Jones. I think Fuller is a hell of a player, but that does not mean that the Raiders are going to sign. All I'm saying is they will 100% be looking at him in free agency. So here's my next question here, and I want to know, how likely are you to recommend this show, whether it's to your dad, your mom, another Raiders fan, anybody out there, when you talk about the Raiders Report, because I'm sure there's got to be at some instance that you mention this show to somebody, say, hey, go check out this show. I enjoy it. I want you to give me an honest assessment. I don't want to just see 10s because you want me to be happy. No, this is a family friendship. The only way that you legitimately get better at what you're doing, the only way that we are going to continue to get better as a show is if you give me an honest grade here, okay? If you do give me anything lower than, let's say, a 5, give me the reason why. I want to know, and then that way I can go and try to correct it. So how likely are you to recommend this show? Scale for me from 1 to 10. I'm going to be looking down in the comments. Let's go to the next story coming up here on the Raiders Report. And are they going to be trading for Bears quarterback Justin Fields. I have said this once. I have said this twice. I don't know how many ways else I can say this. The Raiders are not going to be trading for Bears quarterback Justin Fields. Tuck rule, tuck that. I get the fact that Fields has been linked to this team over and over and over again. I get the idea that just a month and a half ago, I said that Justin Fields was the most likely quarterback that the Raiders could have. As soon as they went out, and I mean as soon as they went out and hired Luke Getsy, that went from a big old fat 0% chance of happening. So coming up here, I'm going to give you a lot more reasons why it is a zero goose egg chance of the Raiders trading for Fields. And I know there's a lot of people out there that are still going to hold out hope. That's fine, but it's not going to happen. You know what I am hoping happens tonight, Chip? If I get out of here at a good amount of time, I shave my shamrock, and I'll tell you what, talk of the morning to you, Alex. I got something special for you, and I got something special for the nation as well. Head on over to Manscaped.com, use code Raiders for 20% off and free shipping on the best male grooming products out there. This year, don't just chase rainbows. Make your own pot of gold and groom your little leprechaun with the leaders and below the kilt care. Say goodbye to your clover forest with Manscaped's Lawnmower 5.0 and let your confidence shine bright. Embrace the luck of the Irish and join 10 million men worldwide that trust Manscaped. Head over to Manscaped.com. Use code Raiders for 20% off and free shipping. I've seen some Raider fans recently say, Mitch, I don't know why you're doing all these leprechaun and St. Patrick's Day reads. Well, guess what? The reason, it's simple. It's because we're in March, and I know this. I'm not trying to get into too March Madness, but I do know that I don't want my Ken Stabler rocking around in a hell of a bush down there. So, equipped with a dual LED spotlight, you can navigate your shamrock patch in peace. Worried you'll make a mess? Fear not, this wonder is waterproof. So, Nation, in case you were, playing with your leprechaun down there, get 20% off and free shipping with code Raiders at Manscaped.com. That's 20% off and free shipping with code Raiders at Manscaped.com this St. Patrick's Day. Make sure your little hairy leprechaun is luckier than ever with Manscaped. So, I love using all the Manscaped products here. One of the products that I do try to use, especially like tonight, for those that don't know, Alex and I, we are going to the venue that we're going to be doing our vows at, which is why I got to get out of this live show a little bit earlier. And anytime we do something like this, I'll be transparent with you. I put on my ball deodorant. I want, if there is even a chance that I get that lucky, that if she gets down there, it doesn't smell like Famunda cheese. It smells good. And if you don't know what that is, then I need you to look it up. So again, shout out to Manscaped for hooking up the nation here. Manscaped.com, code Raiders. All right, let's keep it moving here around Justin Fields and the Chicago Bears. And if you are watching this live, there's some Bears breaking news that doesn't really impact the Raiders. Maybe it does. Jalen Johnson, he just signed a 4-year, $76 million deal with the Bears, which if I'm Kendall Fuller, I'm looking at that deal and I go, I'm not going to get that, but I still want a hefty price tag this offseason. All right, let's continue to talk here about Fields and the Bears. Fields obviously always gets linked to the Raiders, and recently in a interview, or I believe it was on the radio, Jason Fitz had some interesting words to say around Fields, and I 100% agree with him. I know that the Raiders hired Luke Getsy, who was the Bears OC the past 2 seasons, and the Raiders hired Getsy because they believe that Fields was the issue. So I know that there's a lot of connections, and I'll show you all the connections and why Fields is just going to continually get linked to the Raiders over and over and over and over again. But for people that legitimately follow the Raiders closely, and when you watch this show, I hope every time I bring up Justin Fields, some of you are like, Jesus, they're not going to do it, Mitch. And I hear you, but we get new people that watch this show all the time, and the amount of times I get asked, are the Raiders going to trade for Justin Fields? I feel like I have to continue to talk about it, and I feel like I'm just beating a dead horse at this point. But this is what Jason Fitz had to say on Justin Fields to the Raiders, and I 100% agree with it. I talked to somebody that knows the Bears in and out and has covered the Bears for a while. That is really familiar with the organization. And they told me very, very clearly that there is no relationship between Getsy and Justin Fields. I asked this question weeks ago, hey, what are the chances? And the answer I got was not just a no, the answer I got was a hell no. And I'm sitting up here telling you the exact same thing. There is no way that the Raiders hired Luke Getsy and that they're going to go out and they're going to trade for Justin Fields. Yes, the reports are that Fields' trade value might be a little bit lower than expected, that's totally fine. And I know why Fields makes sense to the Raiders. The Raiders are picking at 13. I don't know if we're going to be able to trade up and go get a quarterback. It's not going to be very expensive. He makes $6 million this year. If you give him a fifth-year option, it's going to be $22 million next year, and it's only going to cost you, from what it sounds like right now, a third-round pick. He does fit what AP wants in terms of being a quarterback that's mobile, and it does fit the Raiders' offense just in terms of like a power run game. I know that multiple Raiders players like him, and he's got a great relationship with Champ Kelly, who drafted him in Chicago. But, like, we got to get it through our heads here. Justin Fields was at one point a top option. And yes, the Raiders at one point were looking into trading for him. But the moment that they hired Luke Getsy, it just squashed it right there. On top of that, I know for a fact that the Raiders are looking in the draft. I know for a fact that the Raiders' plan A is Jayden Daniels, and the entire world knows that it's Jayden Daniels. But to me, if you're going to go out and you're going to get another quarterback, you're either you might as well just sign Russell Wilson to $1.21 million, who's a better quarterback than Justin Fields, and you don't have to give up any draft capital, or you just wait for the draft and you go, all right, here's my plan A and Jayden Daniels. All right, well, maybe I can't do that. Then you look at your next tier of quarterbacks, which is, for me, Michael Penix Jr. After that, that's where you get into the Bo Nixes. That's where you get into the J.J. McCarthy, so on and so forth. Bottom line is, the Raiders aren't fucking traded for Justin Fields, so can we please stop talking about it? Coming up next here, some Raiders quarterback starting odds. And anytime I see odds that are released, my job, what I really like to do is I like to try to follow the path, because I do think Vegas Vegas knows, right? Like, Vegas knows a lot more than what they probably get credit for. So when I see new odds and the odds jump out to me, I'm like, why are the odds like that? And then I'll go and I'll start doing my digging a little bit. It's how I find a lot of my smoke, which leads to fire. Before I tell you what the Raiders starting quarterback odds are for this upcoming season, Raiders Friday Happy Hour starts 4 p.m. Eastern Time tomorrow. I don't drink Monday, Tuesday, Thursdays on this show. I got to try to get a little bit skinnier here for my wedding coming up in a year and a half, which I know it's a long ways away. Fridays, though, we let our hair down a little bit. Fridays, we let the weekend get kicked off. I'm not sure if I got Chugs or Chip with me on Friday, but either way, we're going to be partying, and I want you to be tuned in with us. Let's go to the final story here. It's around Aidan O'Connell, and he is the favorite to start for the Raiders according to Vegas. I know what the odds are, and I'm going to give this one just win, baby, and I'm going to say that there's a 10% chance that O'Connell is the Raiders starting quarterback this upcoming season. And when you see odds, and when the odds have Aidan at what they do, you should probably look at it and consider. And I understand that some people who sent me this are like, well, Mitch, if he wasn't a legitimate chance to be the starter, like, this isn't what the odds would be. And that's not that I totally disagree. I mean, I didn't give it no just win, babies. There is a chance that Aidan O'Connell is the Raiders starting quarterback, but again, it's got to be less than 10% chance. He did start 10 games last season. He is liked in the locker room by basically every single guy on the team. However, though, the only reason, and this is just the truth, the only reason he is the favorite to be the starting quarterback, it's because he is the only option on the team as it stands right now. Jimmy Garoppolo is going to get cut. Brian Hoyer is going to get cut. Anthony Brown is just a backup quarterback who you can put on your practice squad. So when you think about Vegas and the way that they make odds, I'm not really surprised that Aidan is the favorite here. And when you look at him, again, plus 125, I look at those odds right there, and it's any rookie quarterback. So that could be Caleb Williams, Drake May, Jayden Daniels, J.J. McCarthy, Michael Penix Jr., Spencer Rattler, Bo Nix at plus 250. I'm betting my house on that plus 250 right there, and I know I'm making money. I'm not touching Justin Fields. Sam Howell is an interesting name that I've brought up here before. Zach Wilson better not happen. I still believe that Baker Mayfield ends up going back to Tampa Bay, but some of the names that have been circulating are, one, Ryan Tannehill got mentioned yesterday by Vic Tafur, and I like Vic. He's done a lot of good stuff in his career, but anytime that somebody says Ryan Tannehill is a better quarterback than Russell Wilson, it really makes me just scratch both of my heads. Let's talk about, though, the latest going on with Russell, who's got plus 800 odds. I did think that Wilson potentially joining the Raiders was something to look at, and even though the Pittsburgh Steelers said that they're rolling with Kenny Pickett, today it was announced that Wilson is meeting with the Steelers. Yesterday, it was leaked that the number one team that Wilson wants to play for is the Pittsburgh Steelers. the more and more I'm going, like, I think that now, based off of just the last 24 hours of everything going on around the NFL, it sounds like Russell Wilson to me is going to be a Pittsburgh Steeler. Another name to keep in mind, Kirk Cousins was been linked to the Raiders just based on like connections and Devontae Adams talking about him. I thought Justin Fields could potentially go to Atlanta. Kirk Cousins is going to be the Atlanta Falcons starting quarterback this upcoming season. That one you can book. So to me, Antonio Pierce, he wants a franchise quarterback for the next 10 years. He also said that he doesn't want, just a Band-Aid at the QB position. I love Aidan. Aidan's going to be a hell of a backup quarterback, but Aidan O'Connell is the definition of putting a Band-Aid at the quarterback position. You cannot go into next season with a QB that's not a top 32 quarterback in the NFL. It's just malpractice. It would be a failed offseason by Telesco and Antonio Pierce. And for two people that really want to prove themselves and they know that they don't have a long leash, I am so confident that the Raiders are not going to go back with Aidan O'Connell, and that is why I'm saying, despite the odds, you better put your money on drafting a QB because that's the route the Raiders are going to go. Which quarterback do you want to be the Raiders starter in 2024? Chip, you've been on this show now for a few days. If you can't say Jayden Daniels, because that's the obvious answer, who do you think would be the best option for the Raiders? I'm going to put on a different jersey here real quick. That way we can because I got two more to wear, and I don't know if I even seen the people in the comments, but I got two more jerseys. I'll be back in like 30 seconds.
In my opinion, trying to win games, I'm going to go get Russell Wilson. I'm going to get Russell Wilson. If I can't get Jayden Daniels, give me Russell Wilson. Patrick Mahomes, that'd be a great option. That'd be a great option. I want Aidan to start so they can have a losing season to get a great pick. I'm not a fan of the tanking, man. Not a fan of the tanking. You didn't bring in a new coach to tank this year. Come on. Come on. Drake May, Baker Mayfield. I don't mind Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, Baker's not a bad name. It just depends what you're going to pay him, right? Like, I mean,
yeah,
if the reports are
$30
if the reports are true that Baker's looking for a 4-year, $120 million contract, like, sorry, Baker,
no.
That's not happening. I mean, I think the most I'd be willing to get Baker Mayfield would be $25 million, but even that, like, $25 million for Baker Mayfield or the $1.21 million for Russell. I mean, it's a no-brainer.
It's no-brainer. Hey, go get your money, Baker, but not here. Not here. Nathan Peterman.
Nathan Peterman would be something. Oh, man. Whoever is suggesting tanking don't know shit about the Raiders. Yeah, I'm not a team tank guy. When you got dudes making millions of dollars, and don't get me wrong, there's a risk in their job. They are entertainers at the end of the day. But, like, I also know how much money I spend on the Raiders. I know how much money y'all spend on the Raiders. And why if the Raiders are going to be the most expensive game to go to in the NFL, then it would be malpractice. I don't even know if that's the right term I'm looking for you to not make seats cheaper if you know that team's going to tank.
Yeah.
Like, that's despicable. It's not going to happen, though. All right, we did have a few more people enter our 50-50 raffle here on the show. If you don't know, as it stands right now, $10 Venmo for a chance to win $120 on the show. The last name that I see in here is Daniel Topchi, which Daniel, I believe, already had a few entries. He wants a few more. So Daniel got an extra 3 entries. And then I see Jody Skog. I don't know if that's how you pronounce that last name. Skoog. But as it stands, $10 Venmo for a chance to win 140 doll hairs. Let's go to John Scheffler. What up, Chef? I might be wrong, but I seriously doubt Russell signs for $1.2 million with any team. He might not cost a lot, but he's not going to sign for the vet minimum guarantee. And I disagree with it. And you got to think about it of Russell Wilson, what he wants the most in his life. And to me, the only thing that's the most important thing to Wilson is his legacy. And if he signs with a team on a cheap deal, that then allows that team to be able to build around him. I mean, Wilson once said that he wants to be remembered in the same breath as Tom Brady and Derek Jeter. Like, so to me, I do think that he's going to be willing to sign a $1.21 million contract because not that money's not important to him, but he's also just going to get $89 million. He's going to get $39 million this season, the remainder next season. His wife might make more money than he does, so I do think that's got to be an option on top of that. Like, this is a family that we're talking about millions of dollars. I get it. But what's more important to them? It's not, I actually don't think it's money at this point for Russ. And if you knew that no matter what, however much money that you signed for, if he signs a deal at $1.21 million, then that means the Denver Broncos, they get a, they get a credit of $1.21 million. If Russell signs a deal for $10 million, then he's essentially given $10 million, not him personally, but he's giving $10 million to the Broncos for next year. If Russell signs for $40 million, then the Broncos get $40 million. So if Russell really wanted to say, hey, F you to Denver, which it sounds like this is a really bad falling out. It kind of reminds me of Derek Carr and the Raiders last year. And then this year with Russell's not going to do anything to help out Sean Payton. So I know what you're saying, but I do think that this situation is a little bit different considering of who you're dealing with and the entire scope of the situation. Let's go to Lamont. Trey Lance already, please. Yikes.
No.
I've talked about Trey Lance before on this show. So last week I did a segment, and one of our guys at the NFL Combine was told that Trey Lance could potentially be a person that could be dealt this offseason. What's interesting is the Raiders quarterback coach, Rich Scangarillo, he was a part of the 49ers back in 2021. He was the quarterback coach for the Niners. So I would imagine if you were the quarterback coach of the Niners the year that they traded up from 12 to 3, you have to like that quarterback. Like, I don't see John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan giving up 3 first-round picks for a quarterback that their quarterback coach did not absolutely love.
Yeah, it just scares me that he couldn't work out in that system, and everybody works out in that system.
I was never high on Trey Lance to come out of college, and I could not agree with you more on what you just said there because Jimmy Garoppolo got the 49ers to a Super Bowl. Brock Purdy, I think, has done a phenomenal job. He looks like a potential top 10 quarterback. Yeah, we haven't gotten to see Sam Darnold or anything in that regard, but the fact that Trey Lance looked the way that he did in that system scares the hell out of me. However, though, if you were to tell me right now, like, you could get Trey Lance for a 6th-round pick, put him with his old quarterback coach, I would entertain the idea. Hell, even a 7th-rounder. I know the Cowboys got him for a 4th, but I don't think, that's a bad idea to try to do.
Super low risk.
Aidan
really
O'Connell,
no downside.
If you were to do this, if you were to do something like Spencer Rattler, Aidan O'Connell, and Trey Lance, let them battle it out.
Wow, what a battle.
You draft Spencer Rattler in round 3, you let him battle with Aidan, and then Trey Lance you get for 6th, 7th round pick. They probably won't do it for a 7th, but let's say a 6th round pick. You let them battle it out.
Wow. Hey, you never know.
You use 2 of your 7th round picks and to trade back up in round 6, you get your 6th round pick back, and you still have a 7.
There you go.
Let's go. Let's go to Adane Ventura, Paul Crew. How much do you think Paul Crew would be? Do you know who Paul Crew is? So Paul Crew, Mean Machine, Longest Yard, Adam Sandler. You've never seen that movie?
Okay. No, surprisingly not.
Petey's face is exactly my feeling
every time I say I haven't seen a movie, Petey's always like,
you've never seen The Longest Yard. Chat, come on. Have you seen The Longest Yard? Why for yes and for no?
Now he's all riled up. Now he's
I can't believe this. I can't believe this.
I know it's I haven't seen it.
You haven't seen The Longest Yard?
No, I have not.
Somebody tell Brett that that's got to be in our application process. Put it in there. I mean, I'm
just getting dunked on. Look, they just keep coming.
Look at the chat.
They just keep coming.
Look at the chat. Why for yes and for no?
SEO for dummies, and then watch Longest Yard.
I agree.
He has no idea the heartbreak we all went through when Caretaker went back to his cell.
Oh my God.
You don't know.
You got to watch this movie. I mean,
I have a long list from
somebody
right
said
now.
Both versions. Are there multiple versions of The Longest Yard?
Yeah.
Really?
It was the first one.
Maybe I'm crazy now.
The first one came out in like the 60s.
Oh,
The coach in The Longest Yard,
gotcha.
he was Paul Crew in the first one.
Okay.
I'm blanking on his name. He died like 2 years ago. Burt Reynolds.
Burt Reynolds.
Yeah, very famous actor.
I mean, I'll say this. I thought you were saying like there was 2 endings to the Adam Sandler Longest Yard. I was like, this is
2 endings.
This is an insane world we live in. Let's go to Jose Corona. Russell Wilson, too busy raising future's son. Yikes. I think I might just let this one go.
I don't want to get caught up in this.
I will admit, though, I do find it funny when NFL teams, when they play Russell Wilson, they do play a lot of future music.
That's hilarious.
I'm a future.
That's awesome.
I am a future fan, though. Like I do like his type of music. I don't love the lyrics because it's not the lifestyle that I live.
No,
but he's got good beats. Like Future songs, I don't like the lyrics, but you put a Future song in on your car, it bumps.
Future's top 5.
I mean, Future bumps. There's no doubt about it.
Future's top 5.
All right, we've caught up on all the super chats here on the Raiders Report. In terms of other people joining our 50-50 raffle, I did get a few extra names in here. Salvador Lucas wanted 2, so I'll put one as Salvador and then Salvador Lucas, and then, oh boy, excuse me, Tim Martin. That one came from my toes. You in? Jerry Kester. Jerry Kester said, you know what, Mitch, put me in for a few. He wanted 3 entries himself, which now means $10 Venmo for a chance to win $170. We're going to do this at the very end of today's show. Oh, man, Richie, my dad, in. Richard Renz, in. And then I'm going to put Richard Renz Jr., Amy also in. So now we are up to 37 people in this race. This one is going to be absolutely electric. I can't wait to see how this one unfolds. All right, so the next show that we got coming up for you guys, we got more breaking news here. The Patriots, they have signed Steelers starter Okorafor, the offensive tackle. Yep. Chukwuma Okorafor. Yeah, we just call him Chew. I don't know. I mean, if I said Chew, would you guys know who he is? That's how I refer to him. Miggy Camacho is in. Camacho. Now as it stands, winner would get $190 on the Raiders Report. Though, Miggy I actually think sent in for... Nope, that's Cap. Miggy put in for 1. Alfredo Robles is in. Luis Rod is in for another one. And now we're all caught up. That means $10 Venmo for a chance to win $200 here on the Raiders Report. All right, Chip, you ready to get into this next segment here? I'm very curious to see what the nation thinks of my quarterback wish list. Now, this is my list and my list only. So this is based on who I want to be the Raiders starting quarterback this upcoming season. Chip's ready. Hopefully you guys are ready. Hit that like button, y'all. If you want the Raiders to get Jayden Daniels, hit that like button. RaiderNation, what's going on? It's Mitchell Renz here, host of the Raiders Report. And coming up on today's show, I got my quarterback wish list for the silver and black. So what you're going to see here on today's episode is I'm going to be ranking from 10 all the way down to 1, the top 10 quarterbacks that I want to see under center for Tom Telesco, for Antonio Pierce this upcoming season. And obviously the person that I have ranked number 1 is the guy that I want the most. So, who you got? Which quarterback do you want to be the Raiders starter in 2024? We're going to get a bunch of different answers here on this show. We're going to see names like Justin Fields, Russell Wilson, Caleb Williams, Jayden Daniels, Michael Penix Jr., Bo Nix, J.J. McCarthy. I have done this show. I have done this song and dance over and over and over again. And finally, I am saying this is my final ranking before free agency of the quarterbacks that I want to be under center the most for this football team. Let's go to number 10 on my quarterback wish list here for the Raiders. It's Bo Nix out of Oregon. I have said time and time again that I think Nix is a good leader. And if you put him in the right system, you let him learn for a year or two, he might be able to be a decent quarterback in the NFL. But this show is around starting quarterbacks for this upcoming season. I know that Nix had a phenomenal year this past year for the Ducks, over a 77.4% completion percentage, 4,508 yards, 45 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. But to me, he's not ready to start in the NFL. And based on people who I talked to that were at the Senior Bowl, based on the people who I talked to at the Combine, multiple NFL sources have reached out and said to me that, hey, Bo Nix is not somebody that I would draft in round 1 if I was any NFL team. Let's go to number 9 here. It's J.J. McCarthy. Now, I'm a little bit lower on McCarthy than a lot of other people in the industry, and I do think that McCarthy has some upside. When I look at the tape on J.J., I see a worse version of a Trevor Lawrence. Like, I do think that McCarthy has great ability to run. I don't love the arm. Like, to me, he does have a strong-ish arm. Like, if I were to rate it on a scale 1 to 10, I'd probably give him a 7. The thing that concerns me with JJ is he doesn't have the ability to float one in there. He has one speed and one speed only. He is a great leader. He has won a lot of big games, and if the Raiders were to draft McCarthy, I wouldn't want them to draft him in round 1. And that's the reason why he's number 9 on my list, because you're probably going to have to take him at number 13 or even higher. That is the simple reason why he's number 9 on my list. Coming in here at number 8 is Spencer Rattler. I am not saying that Spencer Rattler is a better quarterback than J.J. McCarthy. I am simply saying that I would rather have Spencer Rattler in round 3 than J.J. McCarthy in round 1. There is some upside with Rattler. I mean, this was at one point the most highly touted quarterback coming out in terms of getting ready to enter college. He goes to Oklahoma after Kyler Murray, Baker Mayfield win the Heisman. Like, it was at the time, if you were that quarterback and you were that dude, you went to Oklahoma. Everybody that I talked to, he won the MVP at the Senior Bowl. He was good at the NFL Combine. If you're going to take a risk on a guy, if your quarterback right now is Aidan O'Connell, and if the Raiders go, well, we're not going to trade up for anyone, we're not going to take anybody in round 1 or round 2, who's a good quarterback that we could target in round 3 that's got some upside? His name is Spencer Rattler, because I'm telling you right now, if you put Rattler up against Aidan O'Connell in this entire offseason, let him battle it out, I'm confident that Rattler's going to come out on top. Let's go to number 7 here. It's Kirk Cousins, quarterback for the Vikings. And I did have Cousins ranked higher in terms of where I thought he could potentially be. I no longer think that Cousins is going to be the Raiders quarterback simply because I believe now that he's going to end up signing a deal with the Atlanta Falcons. The reason why he is number 7 on my list, yes, he is talented, but it's expected that he's going to get a deal around $35-40 million per year. And what I don't want the Raiders to do is do exactly what they did last offseason. Sign a veteran quarterback that has an injury. Yes, Cousins is looking healthier. He's got that ruptured Achilles, and he's expected to be back way before the season. But the Raiders got a brand new head coach. You got a brand new GM. You got a brand new quarterback coach. You got a brand new offensive coordinator. You got all these new things that, let's face it, you're not going to be able to work with your quarterback. We cannot afford to have another QB situation where they are not ready to go to start the regular season. Before I get into my top 6 quarterbacks here on the Raiders Report, I got to tell you about today's sponsor, which actually, Chip, I came prepared. I came prepared today. I got some deodorant on here, and I don't know about you. Sometimes when I do this show, I sweat. I sweat a lot. And thank to Mando. I know it's green, so you're not going to be able to see it all that well, and you're not going to be able to smell me either. I also love this chip because I don't know if you know this. You can use this stuff on your feet. It has saved my relationship with Alex. I'm telling you that right now. So shout out to today's sponsor, Mando. Control body odor anywhere with Mando and get $5 off your starter pack. That's over 40% off with promo code CHAT at shopmando.com. I love Mando because it's a whole body deodorant, and Mando is seriously safe to use anywhere on your body. Pits, packages, your balls, your grundle, belly buttons, butt cracks, stinky crevices, stomach folds, and your feet. If I was allowed to show you guys me using this on my gooch, hell, I would do it. And on top of that, I've always had smelly feet, and I'll just be real with you. I played a lot of baseball games, and back in my old school baseball days when I'd get home, we were all hanging out as a team together. I'd take off my cleats, I'd take off my socks. My roommates would literally, I'm not kidding you, force me to put my socks in the laundry basket the very first thing I did. And if I didn't, they were all like 6'2", and I was like the smallest guy on our team. They'd beat the crap out of me. And it's because I have smelly feet, and I've always had smelly feet. But luckily, when I use Mando, I notice a difference right away. Like, there's even times where I got to soak my feet for like 10 to 15 minutes, and that's just kind of annoying. It's a lot of time that I don't really have. So what do? Use a little bit of Mando underneath your arms. You can use it on your feet. You can use it just about anywhere. And for people that live out in California or maybe in Las Vegas, Arizona, hell, I'm down here in Texas, I sweat when I eat. So having a deodorant like this, it's awesome. So all I want you to do is listen up right now because I got a discount code to help you get hooked on my favorite smelling whole body deodorant on the market. New customers get $5 off a starter pack with our exclusive code. That equates to over 40% off your starter pack. So use code CHAT at shopmando.com. That's SHOPMANDO.com. It's time to smell better naked. Your partner will thank you. Speaking of my partner, Alex, you know who she loves? She loves my Penix. And I'm going to go with Michael Penix Jr. here from the Washington Huskies at number 6. The reason why I got Penix here at number 6 is because I do think that he's a better quarterback than Rattler, than J.J. McCarthy, than Bo Nix. And I have him above Kirk Cousins. I would be more confident in Cousins to start in year 1. But I do think that Penix, now that he has passed his medicals and all that stuff is checked out, there's an opportunity to get him. I will still sit up here and say that I do not want the Raiders to draft Penix at number 13. I don't want the Raiders to trade up for him. This would be a quarterback that you could potentially trade up for in the back end of round 1. I don't foresee him being available in round 2, but if he is there, I am open to the idea. Like the past 2 seasons for the Huskies, he was incredible. And minus the Michigan game, he's been nothing short of spectacular. Yes, he's a lefty, but you know what? If you watch the tape of Michael Penix Jr. and you flip it, where he's not a lefty and he's a righty, you're going to look at him and you're going to go, holy shit, his arm talent, it kind of reminds me a lot of Justin Herbert. So what I want you guys to do right now is join the family. Hit that subscribe button for free Raiders videos every single day. There's a reason why we have over almost now 166,000 subscribers. We put out videos more than anybody in the game. You might not agree with everything that I say, but that's okay. And I want you to treat this show like a family because the amount of awesome relationships that I have been able to create through this show, the amount of awesome relationships that I see in the chat every single day, I get to wake up and I get to do something that I love. And if you don't see how much I love this job, then maybe you shouldn't subscribe to the Raiders Report. Let's go to number 5 here on my quarterback wish list. It's Justin Fields from the Bears. I have said before that there is a 0% chance that the Raiders trade for Fields. That doesn't mean that I don't think it's a potentially interesting idea for Las Vegas. Now, the reason why he's number 5 is because, in my mind, the Raiders could get Fields for a 3rd-round pick. You give him for a 3rd-round pick, only costs $6 million, $22 million for the following year, but you would find somebody that I do think has upside. You're able to find somebody that I would be interested to see Fields with the Raiders offense overall. I'm not going to lie, I'm not crazy about the idea, I don't think it makes any sense to pair him again with Luke Getsy, and I really wish that the Raiders didn't go the Getsy route, but if we're talking about starting QB this year and this year only, like the only way I am trading for Justin Fields is if these next 4 quarterbacks, you tell me there is a 0, and I mean 0% chance that we are going to get him, and it also means the only way I'm trading for Justin Fields is if you tell me right now that we got to take Bo Nix, J.J. McCarthy, heck, Michael Penix Jr. in round 1 or sign a quarterback like Kirk Cousins. I don't want to do any of those things. I would much rather trade for Justin Fields than everything that I just mentioned. Let's go to number 4 here on the list. It's Russell Wilson. And if you can get a quarterback of his caliber at $1.21 million, I think you are insane for not at least entertaining the idea of around it. Wilson is still a top 15, top 16 quarterback. He's got playoff experience. He also, on top of that, has a Super Bowl ring. Yeah, he's a cornball. He's a weird dude. But to me, if you can get him at 1.2, then you can build in free agency, you can build in the draft, and I'll tell you this right now, if the Raiders would have had Russell Wilson last season, they're a playoff caliber team. And if I know that I can add a quarterback that makes my roster a playoff caliber team at $1.21 million, I'm going to do it. Because you know what? Antonio Pierce said anybody can be a Raider. And even though Wilson is one of my least favorite people out there, if he helped us win some playoff games and a potentially a Lombardi, I guess you what? He's going to be a fan favorite. I can guarantee you. So how about this, though? Yes or no? Would you be okay with if the Raiders signed Russell Wilson to a deal at $1.21 million? If you're like, Mitch, why the hell would Russell Wilson do that? I want you to go check out 2 videos because now I've done it twice. I made a video all the way back on January 4th, why you would do it. And I also put out a video earlier this week of why Russell Wilson would play for an NFL team and why he will play for a team at $1.21 to $1 million. Let's now get into my top 3 quarterbacks, which really should not surprise anybody. Now, maybe the rankings might surprise some people, but the 3 QBs should not. I have gone into this offseason with one thing in mind and one thing only. I want to find a franchise quarterback. I'm done with Band-Aids, and I want to find a 10-year starter. The reason why I have Caleb Williams here at number 3, I think Caleb is a phenomenal talent from top to bottom. Many people think he's the best quarterback in this year's class. To me, though, the only way that you're going to get Caleb Williams is if you trade up to number 1. The other 2 quarterbacks that you're going to see, you're not going to have to trade up to number 1. And right now, like, you're talking about 3 firsts, 3 seconds, 2 starters, and that might just be the tip of the iceberg to go up and get this guy. If he was a slam dunk, I would definitely entertain the idea. Don't get me wrong. I think he's a phenomenal quarterback. I don't think that he's going to be the next Patrick Mahomes. I do think he has the highest upside and legit, like, top 5 QB upside. But out of the next 2 quarterbacks that I'm going to talk about, this is the one that scares me the most, because if you want to be a unbelievable elite quarterback in the National Football League, obviously you got to have the tools. Obviously you got to have everything in your favor, and from a athletic profile, from an arm strength. Caleb Williams has it all. The thing that scares me the most about Williams, though, is the mental. And I am worried that he might not be as mentally sharp, mentally tough, be able to mentally just handle everything that it takes to be an NFL quarterback. And that is why he is ranked number 3 for me. Let's go to number 2 on my list. It's Drake May. And I have said this before, that Drake May is the quarterback that I like the most in this year's class. I don't care what's his name said and has him as his 6th ranked QB. He hasn't been right about, Chris Sims hasn't been right about quarterbacks in a very long time. When I watch Drake May play, I see a quarterback that reminds me of Justin Herbert and Aaron Rodgers. Does he have some accuracy issues from here and there? Yes. But when I watch the times that he misses throws, it's almost like because he's not confident. And he's probably not confident because he's not playing with any NFL talent at North Carolina. His 2023 season, he did struggle. But he also, at 6'4", like 230 pounds, he's got the body type of everything you look for in a quarterback. And I actually laughed because recently people are like, oh, he doesn't have a strong arm. Drake May threw a football 80 yards. 80 yards in the last 2 weeks. And he did it, and it didn't even look all that difficult. How many quarterbacks can throw a football 80 yards? It would take Jimmy Garoppolo 2 crow hops, and he's still not getting it 80 yards. But the tape that I watch, and why I'm so high on May, is because back in 2022, when he did actually have some NFL talent around him, he was the best quarterback, I think, in college football if he were to come out right away. And I know that might be saying a lot considering some of the QBs that did come out this past year, but 38 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. I like what I see in Drake May. He's got the mental, and he's going to be a hell of a quarterback. But you know what? This is no surprise here. Number 1, it's Jayden Daniels. And the reason why Jayden Daniels is number 1 is because I believe that Caleb Williams gets drafted before Daniels, and I believe that Drake May also gets drafted ahead of Daniels. So out of all the quarterbacks here that I want to trade up for, I believe that he's going to be the cheapest to get. On top of that, I'm an AP guy. I believe in Antonio Pierce. The way that I am as a man, I trust you until you give me a reason not to trust you. I am trusting Antonio Pierce. I'm going to trust Tom Telesco. And until they tell me or give me a reason not to trust them, I'll say okay. But if Antonio Pierce is so sold on this guy, Marvin Lewis is very sold on this guy, it sounds like to me that the plan has been, and it's always going to be, getting the Heisman Trophy winner, Jayden Daniels, who continues to get better and better and better every time he steps on the field. And not only can he pass, like, yeah, he struggles between the numbers at times. Like, that's something that needs to get better. Yes, he's a little bit thin. He's got to put on some weight there as well. But 40 touchdowns, 4 interceptions is impressive. But then his rushing ability. And he's not even a quarterback that looks to run. It's just when plays break down, he has the athletic ability to be able to take it for a first down, to be able to take it 50 yards. And he did that against SEC talent. My notes that I have on Jayden Daniels are the same notes, very similar notes that I had to Lamar Jackson. And I know I've said this before. I'm not sitting up here saying that Jayden Daniels is Lamar Jackson because they're totally different quarterbacks. It's just when Jayden's on the field, he's the best player on the field. And sometimes the talent might not translate right away, but when you're just this athletically gifted and when you're just this talented, I'm willing to bet on that guy. And for that reason, I think Jayden Daniels is the number 1 quarterback that I want for the Las Vegas Raiders. And at the end of the day, we're going to agree on some names. We're not going to agree. I want the Raiders to draft a quarterback. I want the Raiders to find their franchise guy. And if you want the Raiders to find their franchise guy, I want you to click that like button right now. And to me, the franchise guys are Jayden Daniels, Caleb Williams, Drake May. I am willing to bet my house on those 3 quarterbacks being successful in the NFL. Obviously, I predicate this on them being with the Las Vegas Raiders. Like, I can't help Drake May if he goes to the Commanders and that whole. I can't help if Caleb Williams goes to the Bears and that organization. I'm talking about just the Raiders and Raiders only, that I'd be willing to bet my house that Jayden Daniels, Caleb Williams, and Drake May are successful quarterbacks. And for that reason, I don't care what it costs. If you find your franchise quarterback, it's 100% worth it. So let's roll through these names one more time here. My Raiders quarterback wish list in terms of who I want the most to who I want the least as under center. Jayden Daniels, Drake May, Caleb Williams is my tier 1. Then, next tier is going to be Russell Wilson. The next tier after that is Justin Fields, Michael Penix Jr. Next tier after that is Kirk Cousins, Spencer Rattler. And then after that is J.J. McCarthy and Bo Nix. Some honorable mentions on here. Aidan O'Connell's an honorable mention. I want Aidan to be the backup of the Raiders, and to me, I hope that he's a Raider for a long time, and I hope he's a backup on our team for a long time. He's going to be one of the best backup QBs in the NFL for years to come. Ryan Tannehill did not make my top 10, but if you're looking for a cheap veteran, maybe at about $10 million per year. I don't love it. It's a name to consider. This is just more of the who I believe are the best free agent quarterbacks out there. Jacoby Brissett, though, I believe he might be going back to New England as some rumors that are out there. And then Baker Mayfield, even though I think that he's going back to Tampa Bay, I'm not going to give Baker $30 million plus a year, but he deserves to at least make this list. Oh, boy. We got 1,000 people here in the chat. 345 likes. Something is not quite mathing up here. Chip, let's go with a little bit of which quarterback do you want to be the Raiders starter in 2024? I feel like we've asked this one a few times, which is probably on me. Let's get a new question in here for the nation that you can ask. It can be literally anything. If you guys have a question for him, please let us know. What up, Zon? We got G Money. I like this one. Who are you hoping the Raiders sign in free agency the most? You can keep on interacting with some people there. I'll answer the super chat from Miggy once I get back. I just got to put on a different Raiders jersey, and then we're going to get into the final segment here on the Raiders Report.
About to get into a little free agency plan. So before we get into it, the one guy you're hoping that they sign the most. And it's probably going to be a lot of Chris Jones and a lot of Christian Wilkins. Not surprising. I'm seeing more Wilkins. If you're telling me in a vacuum, I'm picking Jones, but you got to consider money. Got to consider money in filling out the roster. So Wilkins might be more worth it at his price point. Chris Jones, but we'll be poor after that. Hey, it might be worth it. It might be worth it. He is a game changer, truly. There's not many game changers on the interior. There's not a lot of game changers on the interior. If you can get one of them, man, I'm paying up for it every time. Every time. Matabuke? Just his name. Matabuke?
Justin Matabuke, he got tagged.
Yeah, he got tagged.
Yeah, he got tagged. I also see a few more names here for our duck race. And if you don't know where we are up to yet in our duck race, as it stands right now, $10 Venmo for a chance to win $200. The last name that I see is Luis Rodriguez. Justin Gilbert, the man who got the party started, he's in. I see Hellcat Q, which it's been a minute. Hellcat, hopefully you're doing well. Timothy. I see Timothy Bush, hell of a last name, in. Cameron Abbott, which Cameron, I just ordered your February Bang MVP jersey, so you should be getting that soon. I also am expecting a bunch of other Cameron Abbott jerseys. The problem is I wear a size medium jersey, and there are no more like black customizable black Raiders jerseys, so I had to get some white ones, so you're going to see a lot more white jerseys coming up here on the show. I also think I just got a few more names here. Anthony Green, sorry everyone, and then Nathan Wolf is in, though Anthony Green did two of them. In, and then Juan Gutierrez in. So as it stands right now, $10 Venmo for a chance to win $240. What up, Lamont? Put some respect on Trey Lance's name. This guy only played 4 games, and Kyle Shanahan can't develop quarterbacks. I don't see how you can say that considering where Brock Purdy is right now. Lance is a better processor than Fields. I don't even know if that's true.
Like, what have you seen so far to be able to say that? Not that Fields is all that great, but what has Lance shown you
Oh, I agree.
to say that?
I mean, like, what is he? Oh! Nathan Wolf Bang! Ow! What up, Nathan? I did have the jersey on yesterday, wasn't live, and a bang, bang, bangity bang. What up, Nathan? Shout out to Nathan Wolf, which I guess now we got to update our March bang race, and that is the first bang from Nathan Wolf of this month, which right now, as it stands, Fat Bearded Dad is in the lead with 10 bangs. Ryan Campbell, so Ryan Soup, actually the jersey that I got on right now, 5 bangs. Abjin 5. Mr. Scheffler's got 3. Elijah's got 2. And then Sancho, Cameron Abbott, Sherry Lynn Collins, Alex Padilla, Miggy Camacho, Martin Yoda Jenkins, and Nathan Wolf all have 1. Ooh, man. Let's go to Steven Rockwell. Jayden underthrows his receivers a lot. Not sold on him. It's definitely one of the things that I noted as well in my notes. However, I'm hoping that Jayden just gets better. Like, when you think about where he was when he was coming out of high school, then what you saw at Arizona State, hell, his first year at LSU, compared to then the next year at LSU. Like, to me, one of the things that I look for is how much better can a quarterback get year after year after year. And again, I don't want to use this like analogy here because they're not the same quarterback, but it also kind of reminds me a little bit of Joe Burrow. And when Burrow was in college, like, he was not that special of a quarterback. And all it took was one good year, the light bulb went on, and now Burrow is he's on a totally different level. To me, when I look at the development of Burrow at LSU, totally different quarterbacks. It's kind of how I see it with Jayden. And I'm wondering a little bit here is like, did the light bulb go on for Jayden Daniels? Because once that light bulb goes on for a quarterback and you're not worried about maybe your footwork, where your shoulders are, your hips, and you're just going out there and you're balling and you're just reading the defense, that can be a difference maker when you're an athlete. So you don't got to be sold on him. And that's going to be part of it. But he's somebody who I am willing to take a risk on. Let's go to Dylan. I don't understand people wanting Fields. If we want a losing quarterback, we should have just kept Carr. We need to draft a QB. I mean, I think the people that want Justin Fields do see the upside. Like, you can't say that Fields doesn't have upside. Like, to me, like, you can't say that. Like, there's no doubt when you have a quarterback that has that athletic ability that Justin Fields has, there's upside. Like, I would rather have Justin Fields than Derek Carr, which, what do your honest take on that?
I don't think that's a hot take. I feel like most people would probably pick Fields. I'd pick Fields. Carr's.
I know.
Not great.
I just think, like, I think there's a lot of people when they watch this show, it's like Justin Fields or Aidan O'Connell. Like, if you ask all 24 people out there, all 24 are going to say Justin Fields. I do think that certain fan bases get tied with certain players a little bit more, and a way to just say, well, this guy compared to this guy, I'd rather take this guy. And Aidan O'Connell and Derek Carr are 2 quarterbacks that I use a lot because those are the QBs that we've seen the most. So I think people fall in love with the upside. People fall in love with upside. It's just, it happens. What up, Miggy? Cheers, Mitch, in the chat. Let's move up for Daniels. Get Wilson for, you mean 1.21 million. I was going to say 121 million, Miggy. I don't got that type of bankroll. Been slammed with gigs as a DJ, but always watching on my phone, though. Miggy, where do you perform? Is it out in L.A.? Because my fiance, Alex, I'm pretty sure she's going to do her bachelorette out in Los Angeles. So if anybody's got any good Los Angeles restaurant, bar, DJ, I mean, anything for like a really dope experience out in Los Angeles, please hit me up or like let me know on here because I'm pretty sure like that's where she's going to be going. A DJing would be, I think I would have a lot of fun being a DJ, but I don't think I'd be good at it.
I've seen
it's a lot more
videos,
difficult.
Yeah, people trying to learn like in a day, like trying to learn in one day. It's a lot. It's a lot more than you'd think. It's a lot more than I thought before I got into it, but just watched it.
One of my buddies in college, shout out to Jimmy, and he wanted to be a DJ, like which I was like, all right, man, you came to college and now you're trying to be a DJ, which everyone should have a side hustle. But like he literally turned his entire apartment into like a club. He had like the LED lights, all this, but then he got like the boards and all that and realized how difficult it was.
Yeah.
Looking at it's another language. It really is. It's like what we use. You know what I mean? Like it's like being a producer. It's like, what the hell am I doing?
Yeah, you take one look at it, you're like, what is all this? Like there's buttons and this and that. Like takes a while.
No strippers. No strippers. Anthony Green, Mitch, any UFL watch parties when they come on? Wow. You know what, Anthony? I'll tell you this right now. If you guys want me to do UFL watch parties, I'll entertain the idea. However, when does that season even start?
It's got to be somewhat soon.
The UFL season schedule for every team. All right, so the Arlington Renegades, their first game is March 30th.
Okay, yeah, it's a month.
So March 30th, March 31st. See, my thing would be this, though. Do we root for just one team, or we just watch the games? I feel like we just watch the games.
Yeah, just watch the games.
Root for certain players.
Yeah, root for some guys, watch the games.
I mean, if you guys legitimately wanted us to do it, the problem is of when it's happening. Now, if they get through the whole season and they do like the playoffs, and then there's like a Super Bowl or whatever it is, like if you're a UFL fan, I'm sorry, I don't follow the UFL that closely. Like, I think it'd be interesting to do like a watch party for like their playoffs and Super Bowl. The problem doing it in March and April, we're so busy because of free agency and the draft that it's probably not going to happen. And then in May, maybe, but I also know that we are going to start our watch parties a lot earlier this year for the Madden season. So just be on the lookout for that. What up, Red Eye Nation? Red Eye Nation. There's multiple reasons why you can have red eyes. And I'm curious of why you're Red Eye Nation. Either you don't sleep, you like to bang, or you're 420 friendly. Either way, though. Either way is fine with me.
Could be all of them.
Jeffrey said there is no team in Vegas this year. I know, there's no team in Vegas.
How do you have a team in Vegas?
UFL guys in Vegas?
It might be a disaster. How many teams do they have?
So
I know they like merged.
Right, so they
the two
have
leagues.
the Arlington Renegades, the Birmingham Stallions, DC Defenders, Houston Rednecks, Memphis Showboats, Michigan Panthers, San Antonio Brahmas, St. Louis Battlehawks. 8 teams.
8 teams? Okay. The Rednecks? That's fun.
I would say the team, if I was going to root for one, would be the St. Louis Battlehawks. That's just because that was the team that Champ Kelly, when Kelly was like, he was the GM of the Battlehawks when like they first started, I think in 2019 was the year. I know he was basically like the GM. He did everything there. Miggy said, I will hit you up on IG for LA things to do. I DJ in LA and in Denver.
That's sick.
I want to go to Denver. Have you ever been to Denver?
I have not.
I actually, my dad and I, last summer, we planned a trip to go to Denver. We were going to do it in like June. And unfortunately, some family stuff came up, so we like couldn't do it. I say this all the time, but it's so difficult because I'm trying to save up for a house, trying to save up for a wedding, you know, like all these different things, which those are the priority. But I do want to travel like more places around, like in the U.S. Like I've never been to Denver. Like it's a place I want to go to Oregon. I think Oregon would be dope.
Yeah,
I've never been to Los Angeles. Like I want to try to go out to Los Angeles this summer because I know there's like a huge like Raiders party out there out in Orange County. I've always like wanted to go to it. Like that would be really dope to me. If anybody knows anybody that's associated with like the Los Angeles Raiders party and they would like for me to come, giggity, hit me up. I put on the show that I'll be there. We can get it going pretty big. I think it'd be pretty dope. All right, we're all caught up on all the super chats, which means we have one more segment to do here. Oh my goodness. So I just checked my phone, and well, this is gonna be something here. Hang on a second. Juan Gutierrez. Hang on a second. What? Oh man, Jose Corona. Bye! FKC pack. FKC's down below. If you want a shout out here on the Raiders Report, FKC's down below. I want to see them. I want to see some FKC's down below.
Let's go.
I want to see some
Smoking that
FKC's
KC pack.
down below. And Jose Corona gets an extra entry. An extra entry. The problem, and I shouldn't even say the problem, is, oh man, this show is about, this is nuts, man. I'm just going to warn y'all, it's going to get hot in here, all right? It's going to get hot in here. Martin, you in. Oh boy, you in. And then Ryan Campbell is also in. Give me a second here, Ryan. So as it stands right now, we have 55 people in this race. 55 people in this race. I'm going to do one segment, and then after that, I'm going to tell you what happened. I gotta do this segment, and then I'm going to tell you guys what happened. Ray Aguirre, you in? So the math is, I've stopped being able to do the math. 57.
All right, so 570.
Yep, divided by 2. 35?
35. Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, 235.
No.
That's 470.
That's not even close.
Wait.
See? We're not there.
You said 570?
Yeah, 570. I don't know. Somebody said 285.
285. There we go.
The math checks out. Shout out to Raiderville. Shout out to Raiderville for helping us do the math there. Yep. I also see Timothy Acker. You in. So now we're at 290. And we are all caught up. Timothy Acker. Okay. We got one more segment, okay? We got one more segment to do here on the Raiders Report, and then we're gonna let our hair down a little bit. We're gonna let our hair down here a little bit, and like I said, I have to leave at 5:00. So to the person that did what they did, if you want to message me on Venmo, if you want to turn up extra tomorrow, we can turn up extra tomorrow, or we can make the most of today. I'll leave that up to you, because like I said, we can only turn up for about 30 minutes here. We can put a clock on. However, though, I can't get too crazy just because I have my wedding thing with Alex tonight. So either we're going to make tomorrow just blackout city, or we're going to get a little bit crazy today for about 30 minutes. So you know who you are. If you want to message me, you can let me know what you want. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I'll tell you right now. It's all right, so they just told me we will do the extra tomorrow. Extra tomorrow. So my next question is then, do you want me to announce it today, or do you want me to start the show off tomorrow with it? Do we start Friday happy hour off with it tomorrow, or do you want me to announce it today? Your call. I mean, I'll tell you this right now. That was nuts. That's all I know is if you're planning on watching Friday happy hour tomorrow, bring your drinking pants. You're going to have to bring your drinking pants. That's my only request. Bring yo drinking pants, because you're gonna get filled up tomorrow. Yes, that is correct. All right, so dude, so you guys, the person that sent this in, they said start it tomorrow. Done. So I'm not going to tell you what happened today, okay? I'm not going to tell you what happened today. you're going to have to wait tomorrow. And to the person that did what they did, literally the way that I'm going to start tomorrow's show is going to be the person's name, we're banging, we're getting some boots going, bring your drinking pants, okay? Sound good? Bring your drinking pants. It's going to get nuts. It's going to get nuts. Also, we have a new leader of our bang march, of our March bang race. So it's juicy. Okay. I'm just telling you, tomorrow's going to be nuts. I'm already just accounting for putting my body through hell and back tomorrow, and I can't wait to do it. Who? Oh, no. Alex is not. We're good on that regard. We're good on that regard. Okay. That was nuts. Coming up next here is going to be our free agency plan. See, like, I'm actually really bad with keeping secrets. I kind of do want to tell. I'm not going to, though. We're going to wait. We're going to wait because tomorrow's shows, I want people to tune in tomorrow's Friday happy hour, and you're just going to be like, holy shit, this is going to get nuts. This is going to get nuts. To the person that did that, though, I did give you 5 entries into our raffle for this race tonight. So just be on the lookout for that. So that way, you get something to look forward to tonight. But all right, y'all, coming up, I got my 10-step plan for the Las Vegas Raiders free agency. It's presented by Panda. I don't know if I put that in there. That's what I wanted now that I think of it. All right, y'all. Final segment here on the Raiders Report. You ready? All right, here we go. Starting in 3, 2, 1. Let's get it going. I'm Mitchell Renz, host of the Raiders Report, and coming up here on today's show, my 10-step plan for a perfect Raiders free agency. Antonio Pierce, I trust you, man, but I know this is your first time as a head coach. Tom Telesco, going to be the first time with him, with Antonio Pierce. The bottom line is I have a lot of faith in both of those men, but at the end of the day, I don't think it's a bad thing to ask for a little bit of help in. Maybe they do. Maybe they don't. If you come across this video and you want to use my 10-step plan for a perfect Raiders free agency, I would greatly appreciate it, and I personally think it's going to help us get a Lombardi trophy. Today's show is presented by Panda Subs, and I wanted to show y'all because I don't just talk it, I use it too. I use Panda Subs protein. This one is clear because it's the mint chocolate chip one, so it's green. You can't really see it. It's also... I got the Cinnamon Toast Crunch as well. Both of these proteins, some of the best protein I've ever had. I'm telling you right now, this mint chocolate chip one, it's got actual chunks of like mint chocolate chip cookies in there. If you like Thin Mints, if you like mint chocolate chip ice cream, this is the best protein I've ever had. And I mean it. Use code Raiders for 20% off at pandasubs.com. So what I did this show, it's because free agency is right around the corner. And, dude, free agency is the most fun time of the year because we're going crazy, we're going wild, we're doing breaking news left and right on this show. Some important dates, though, for the nation. The legal tampering period is March 11th, 12 p.m. Eastern Time to March 13th, 4 p.m. Eastern Time. This is like the time of the year where players can, it's like the Las Vegas Raiders sign XYZ player. Then on the new league year, March 13th is when it becomes officially official. So there's going to be players that start going places. There's going to be players that start signing. It's just not officially official until March 13th, 4 p.m. Eastern Time. So more background information here on the Raiders free agency, just because I do think it's important for the type of video that I made. Cap space is at $47.8 million. That is according to Spotrac. The dead cap hit for the Raiders is $15 million, which is the 17th most. They do have the 10th most in salary cap space as it stands right now. Players signed to the roster, they have 56, which is the 11th most. Also, the Raiders are going to have plenty of money to spend, and they have a lot of needs that they need to be able to go out there and address. Like I'm talking offensive line, defensive tackle, quarterback, right? They have both needs on both sides of the football. Telesco said at the Combine, he is going to be more active in free agency than in years past. So I'm expecting these guys to go out there and go balls to the wall a little bit. Antonio Pierce also knows that he doesn't have a long coaching leash, and if he wants to make it happen, Telesco is going to be the one making the calls. But I really hope that Antonio Pierce does have a say in some of the signings that end up going down. So coming up here is going to be my 10-step free agency plan for the Raiders. There's going to be a lot of numbers involved. I'm going to go out and I'm going to tell you why I'm doing certain things. But before free agency even begins, I want you to hit that subscribe button because we're going to be live for free agency. Like I'm telling you, starting Monday, March 11th at 11 a.m. Eastern time, I'm going live. We're going live an hour before the tampering period starts because I know as soon as it happens, there's going to be players that get signed left and right. I'm going to be live Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and if I can, I'm going to be live all freaking day. You are not going to find better free agency coverage around the Las Vegas Raiders than here, so make sure you're subscribed because we're going to have a ball. Before we start, my 10-step free agency plan is based on the Raiders trading up for Jayden Daniels, and the only reason why I have this is because I am a believer that if you were to ask Antonio Pierce, Tom Telesco, in a perfect world, this is perfect free agency plan, who's your number one quarterback that you want? It's Jayden Daniels, and I do think that everything that the Raiders are doing is focused around having Jayden Daniels as the quarterback. They literally interviewed offensive coordinators with Daniels in mind. So I think that entering free agency, they are going to have the idea of trying to get Jayden in the back of their mind here. Let's go to the first step here for my free agency plan. It's you got to make sure that you cut the fat. Like, you get rid of the players that you know are not going to be a part of this organization. That way you can save up to get a little bit of extra money. That way go out and get some players that actually matter. So to me, there are 9 players that I would cut right now. I would cut them immediately entering free agency. Jimmy Garoppolo and Hunter Renfrow. Now, friendly reminder that those are both post-June 1st cuts. Every other player that you see on screen is a player that would get cut right now. So Brandon Faison, Jacob Bobenmoyer, Zach Gentry, Janorius Robinson, Wilkerson, Britton Brown, and then Brian Hoyer. I am moving on from all those players, which in total saves the Raiders $43.8 million. So based on my plan, the Raiders wouldn't get, $36 million from Garoppolo and Renfrow until after June 1st. So that's a big chunk of that money. So the Raiders technically do not get that money until after June 1st. Based on the other players that I cut, the Raiders would get an extra $7.8 million to spend right away, which would put them at $55.6 million. However, the way that NFL teams, the way that the Raiders should operate, and you have Tom Delaney, who's a very smart man in terms of the cap, you would treat this offseason as if you did have that extra $36 million paired with that $7.8 million, which then when you pair it with the Raiders' current salary cap situation is $43.8. So you add all those numbers together. If I'm the Raiders, I am looking at this offseason saying that we could have potentially $91.6 million to spend. Now, think about, your things that you buy, right? You're not going to spend your entire paycheck right away. You got to be able to save some. You got to be able to store some. So the way that I'm looking at it is this. If you do plan on drafting Jayden Daniels, you're going to be paying him over $6 million per year in his first year. So half of the money I'm going to save, $12 million for Jayden. The other $6 is going to be for the other players that we end up drafting. I'm also going to save an extra $15 million. I'm going to call it just in case money. Money if I want to extend a player. Money in case I need to restructure a certain contract. Money that in case I want to bring back a guy like an Isaiah Paulomeo or some of these other players on cheaper one-year deals that we're not necessarily looking at. So basically, when I did my free agency plan, I cut some guys, I saved some money away. I got $64.6 million to go out and spend in free agency. So what's my first move? I'm going to go out and I'm going to make a splash. So here's your opportunity to make a splash down in the comments. Who are you hoping the Raiders sign in free agency the most? Like, it is your number one priority. Think about, right, man? Payday just happened. You got your check. What's the first thing you're spending your money on? Because the first thing that I'm doing is coming up right after this YouTube ad break. Number 2 on my list, it is sign Christian Wilkins. Christian Wilkins, outside of Chris Jones, is the number 1 defensive tackle out there available. And according to Spotrac, his market value is $20.2 million. I'll admit, he might end up going for a little bit more considering the fact that Justin Madubuike got tagged and considering the fact that he is, outside of Chris Jones, the number 1 defensive tackle out there. The reason why that I like this pairing here is because Wilkins has played underneath Patrick Graham, which Patrick Graham was the Dolphins defensive coordinator back in 2019. He also played with Raiders defensive line coach Rob Leonard, who was a part of the Miami Dolphins organization in 2019 and 2021. And outside of Chris Jones, he is that guy. He is a big-time body dude up the middle. Daniel Jeremiah recently talked about pairing him next to Max Crosby. If you put Wilkins on the interior, he's going to eat up double teams. It's going to free up Tyree Wilson. It's going to free up Malcolm Kuntz. It's going to free up Max Crosby. And if the Raiders are winning with just those four fronts again, get ready. It's going to be another great year for Patrick Graham. So after spending $20.2 million, and the way that I'm doing this is just based on the first year. Like Wilkins is probably going to get a deal of, if I'm the Raiders, I give Wilkins a 3-year deal because Crosby's got 3 years left on his contract. So $64.6 million minus $20.2, I am left with $44.4 million to spend. Let's go to number 3 here. I'm going to sign offensive guard Damian Lewis. And the reason why I'm rolling here with Lewis is he's not the best guard available in free agency, but he's a really good fit for what the Raiders currently have. His current Spotrac market value is $7.4 million per year, which is why I went this route. And he's played 2,624 snaps at left guard in his 4-year career. The other reason why I like this is because I do anticipate that Andre James is going to leave. I had a source tell me at the Super Bowl that Andre is not going to be returning to the Raiders unless, they give him by far the most money he's offered, which I don't think is going to happen. On top of that, though, Lewis, then you can kick him in at left guard. Dylan Parham ends up playing center, and now you only have to look for 2 other starting offensive lineman positions. On top of that, he played right guard at LSU with James Craig, where Craig was great. Lewis was also great, and even though that now Damian plays left guard, the fact that he has that continuity with the Raiders' new offensive line coach is the reason why I'm okay giving him $7.4 million. I think it's a really good deal. So let's go back to the calculator here. Money to spend after signing Damian Lewis. I had $44.4 million. Minus $7.4 million, you got $37 million left. If you're under the age of 18 and you watch this show and your parents ask, did you learn any math today? The answer to that is yes. If you want your kids to learn more math, guess what? I never thought I'd say it. We're teaching math here on the Raiders Report. Let's go to number 4. I got re-signed Jermaine Illuminor. The offensive tackle position is a fickle one in this offseason, and the reason why I am re-signing Illuminor is because if my plan is to trade up for Jayden Daniels, what if you don't have another second-round pick? You're obviously going to use that first-round pick on Jayden, so that means potentially you're going to have to try to find a starting right tackle in the draft, 3rd round, 4th round, or beyond. That scares me. If I'm going to invest in Jayden, I'm going to spend some extra money on my offensive line, and I don't know why Jermaine gets ripped on as much as he does, but this is one of the best offensive tackles available in free agency. His PFF market value is $7.3 million. I will say on this video, anytime a player had a Spotrac value, I use theirs. If not, I use PFF market value. But he's played 1,845 snaps at right tackle the past 2 seasons. And Illuminor is coming off a career year, and the fact that he wants to remain in Vegas is very important. Illuminor is vocal on social media. I like that kind of stuff. And when he talks, I feel like he's a Raider. I've had multiple conversations with Jermaine, and that is a dude that is really, truly confident, loves what Antonio Pierce is doing, and is a great, great locker room type of fit player. So you bring him back, you put him at right tackle. Now, all we have to do is just find one more starting offensive guard spot. So after getting Jermaine Illuminor at $7.3 million, that leaves the Raiders now with $29.7 million as we continue our 10-step plan for the perfect free agency. I know that some people like Jermaine. I know some people don't like Illuminor. Do you want the Raiders to re-sign Jermaine Illuminor? Give me a yes. Give me a no down below. I say yes because I am worried if the Raiders want to trade up for Jayden and you don't get another offensive tackle in free agency, that you're going to be stuck potentially starting somebody like a Thayer Munford at right tackle or somebody else who you draft. If the Raiders don't plan on drafting Jayden Daniels and you want to try to go out and find another right tackle in the first 2 rounds, there's tackles to be had. But again, this plan is based on Jayden Daniels, and because of that plan, I am going to re-sign Jermaine Illuminor. Let's go to number 5 here. It's re-sign Greg Van Roten. Before you guys freak out and say, Mitch, I thought this was the perfect plan, I'm trying to build up front, okay? If I'm going to trade up for a quarterback, I want to make sure that Jayden Daniels, who's very skinny, and whoever the quarterback is, we have a good offensive line. I am not signing Greg Van Roten to be the starting right guard, though. I am signing Greg Van Roten to be the 6th man, the backup. And if we need to be able to go out there and use him, guess what? We can go out there and use him. PFF has him as a market value at $3 million. And he started at right guard last season for the Raiders with 1,025 snaps. His 75.3 PFF grade was the 7th best out of 79 guards graded by Pro Football Focus. So, I know Greg Van Roten is not a slam dunk, but at 34 years old, if I just need to be able to find another piece to just have as an extra backup offensive guard, based off the year that he had last season, I don't think it's a bad idea at all. So when you think about the money that you went out and that you spent for Greg Van Roten, it's $3 million. It's not a lot of money. And when I consider some of the other depth pieces that this Raiders team is going to need at offensive guard, like, I'm okay with going with a guy that was already a part of this regime. I know Jermaine and Greg have a good relationship, and I also know that he's got a good relationship with Dylan Parham as well. So the fact that it would be Dylan Parham, maybe Greg Van Roten, if you don't find another guard potentially in the draft, and Jermaine Illuminor, you're still building a cheap, solid offensive line. And the reason why I'm doing this, again, it's a cheap value. So I got 29.7 minus $3 million. I got $26.7 million left to spend in free agency. And I still got 5 more things that we got to do. Before I get into those 5 things left on my free agency plan, I woke up bright and early this morning. I got a good workout in. I've been trying to lose some weight because I know y'all kick my butt during the season. I know during free agency we're going to be having a few beers as well. I've never done a Panda Subs boot, but you know what? I bet you the owner there probably wouldn't mind. He's a diehard Raider fan, watches the show all the time. But if you're looking for some new protein, and if you're like me and you're like, Mitch, I got a sweet tooth, guess what? Panda Subs protein, it's the best protein that I've ever had. And when you consider how freaking good it is, like when you're talking 30 grams of protein, 4 grams of carbs, 2 grams of sugar, 1 gram of fat, 150 calories. It's a multi-stage fast and slow release. I like Panda Subs because it's great protein after a workout. It's also really great when I'm trying to cut and I'm trying not to eat at work, right? If you're somebody who's trying to fast, maybe you just need a little something. Sometimes Panda Subs protein can get me through the day because when I just eat like whey protein and then I drink it, like I get hungry really quick. When I drink a protein shake with Panda Subs, it keeps me like not hungry for at least a few hours or so. It tastes great. I've also been using a ton of my Ninja Creamy, so if you got one of them, Panda Subs protein is the ones to try. These are their 2 new flavors that they just dropped. I also love that they're chocolate ice cream, their vanilla ice cream, their fruity one tastes literally like the milk left from Fruity Pebbles. Those are all very, very solid. So bottom line, if you want to get into better shape, go try out Panda Subs. Code Raiders, hopefully you can remember that, at pandasubs.com. That link's going to be available to you all down in the comments and in the description of today's show. Let's go to number 6 here in my free agency plan. It's sign Kendall Fuller, the cornerback. The Raiders are interested in signing Fuller. He's probably the top corner out there on the market right now. Jalen Johnson just signed a 4-year, $76 million deal with the Chicago Bears. On top of that, L'Jarius Sneed, he's been franchise tagged, which means the number 1 corner, it's Fuller. The Spotrac market value on Fuller is $13.6 million. And the reason why that I'm going to sign him is because Pierce said that finding a cornerback 1 is a priority. And with Fuller being the top corner on the market, that's why I ended up going this route here. And I like a lot of the corners in this year's draft. I love me some Terrion Arnold. I think Nate Wiggins is a dog. I think Quinion Mitchell. I literally did a show. Rakestraw from Missouri. These are corners that I consider legit cornerback 1s. But again, if the plan is to get Jayden Daniels, you're not going to have an opportunity to get those guys. And if I'm already saying, well, we might need a right tackle or we might need other positions, but you're giving up a lot of your picks to go up and get Jayden, you're not going to have a lot of those high priority picks. Like, are you going to potentially rely on a cornerback 1 that you're going to get in round 4 again? Like, no, I'm not going to do that. So because of this, because it's a big priority for Antonio Pierce, finding a corner that's played over 1,000 snaps, he's got legit versatility in 3 straight seasons, this is why I'm going to spend that extra money and go get Fuller. So I had $26.7 million. I spent $13.6 on Fuller, and I got $13.1 million left to spend here in free agency. Let's go to number 7 on my list, and this is a dude that I begged the Raiders to sign last year, and it doesn't surprise me that he had such a good year with Kansas City. It's Drew Tranquill, and this is a dude that I know for a fact Tom Telesco freaking loves. His PFF market value is at $5 million per year, and he's a good coverage corner or coverage linebacker. I want somebody that's sideline to sideline, somebody that does have the ability to be able to cover. Yes, Robert Spillane did a phenomenal job, but I do anticipate that Spillane maybe falls back just a little bit. On top of that, though, he has played in the AFC West his entire career. He's been with the Chargers. He was just with the Kansas City Chiefs. Telesco drafted Tranquill back in 2019 out of Notre Dame. Like, we know how much Telesco loves Notre Dame players. So Drew Tranquill is a dude that I'm going to be adding to this Raiders linebacking core with Divine Diablo, with Robert Spillane, and now you have a really good core of linebackers, which somebody maybe finally can slow down Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes, because That's something that the Raiders need to figure out how to do. So we had $13.6 million minus $5 million, which leaves me with $8.6 million left to spend. And this is the part of the show where it's going to get a little bit funky because I know some of y'all are probably sitting there, well, what about Josh Jacobs? Here's my Josh Jacobs offer. I am going to offer Jacobs a team-friendly deal. And realistically, if Jacobs takes my team-friendly deal at $8.6 million, the free agency plan's done. I said it was a 10-step plan. Nope, 8-step plan. If Josh Jacobs is willing to take my deal at $8.6 million, because I know Jacobs wants to remain a Raider. I know the Raiders want to keep Josh Jacobs. However, yes, Jacobs deserves more money, and this is him taking a team-friendly deal. But then again, if Jacobs is saying all these things of how he wants to remain a Raider, well, if you're going to talk the talk, it's time to walk the walk. And I want him to take a team-friendly deal coming off a year where he had the worst year of his entire career. My offer to Jacobs would be 3 years, $25.8 million, with $21.5 million guarantee. I spoke with Jacobs' team earlier in the week, and they told me that they would be on board with taking a 3-year deal if 2 of it was guaranteed. Well, how about this? Since I'm going to ask for a little bit less money on a yearly basis, I'm willing to give you 2 years guaranteed with another year half guaranteed. So that way, if it doesn't work out, you can then move on from Jacobs if you want. You cut him for $4 million. Jacobs still gets that type of money. But the bottom line is Antonio Pierce wants to keep him. I want to keep Josh Jacobs here, but the Raiders are not in a situation to pay a running back this big-time money. So if both sides are willing to get a deal done and compromise, I'm willing to get one done as well. Coming up, my final 2 steps in case Jacob says no, because I do think all good plans, you got to have plan B, right? You got to have plan B. So what happens if Jacob says, nope, I'm not taking that team-friendly deal? Well, if he's not willing to take a team-friendly deal, then he's not going to be a part of the Las Vegas Raiders as far as me if I was the one handling the checkbook here. So I got 2 more steps in case Jacob says no. I do want to give a shout-out to some real ones, though. So shout-out to GFF30, VT Holmes, El Tiburon, Matt M, and then Cloud98. I told Chip, Chip, let's go look at some of the comments here and some of your favorite comments that you see, people that are always liking the video, people that are always, showing love on the streams. I want you to put those 5 people on this show. So to these people right here, shout out to all of y'all. I see you. I appreciate that very, very much. Let's go to number 9 on the list. It's Aloy Gilman, and safety from the Chargers last season. He also played football at Notre Dame. Again, very smart and intelligent player. I do think that he's coming off probably the best year that he's ever going to have in regards to what type of season he has, but I can get him at cheap, $3.8 million. He did finish PFF this past year with an 86.1 grade, which is very impressive. And the fact that Telesco likes him, he's already got that relationship. And for the Raiders, he's not going to be a starter. It's just adding a little bit more depth, adding a little bit more security there on the back end. So Aloy Gilman is number 9 on my step plan here, which means the final, and I mean the final plan here. Oh, actually, I got to do the math. That's on me. So I had $8.6 million. Again, this is based off if Jacob says no. $8.6 million minus $3.8 million, which means I am left with $4.8 million for my final step. And my final step here for the Raiders free agency is I'm going to go out and I'm going to sign Kyle Van Noy. Kyle Van Noy has experience playing with Rob Leonard. He did not play with the Dolphins when Patrick Graham was there. However, Patrick Graham does have a lot of connections with New England. Kyle Van Noy does have some connections back from his time in New England. But even though he's 34 years old, he offers you a lot of versatility. He can get after the quarterback. He can drop back into coverage. He can stop the run. He's played on multiple different types of defenses. So to me, I know that he's got a lot of connections with Telesco because Van Noy also played 1 year with the Chargers, so he has some of that AFC West experience. If I can add a veteran that's still playing at a high level, who's a very intelligent player, who can be that player coach, I am going to do it every single day of the week. So final money left to spend, $4.8 million minus $3.3, which means I only have $1.5 million left. I know, it's going to make some people a little bit, man, Mitch, you don't got a lot of money left to spend. But remember, I saved some money. So you add that 1.5 plus the $12 million in draft plus the 15 just in case money, and I got $28.5 million to be able to address the draft, contract restructures, all this other just in case type of money. I don't know about you, but I think that's a pretty damn good plan to put the Raiders going in the right direction. However, anytime I do a show like this, and I mean anytime I do a show like this, I always want to know what you guys have to say, what you're thinking about each move. So I'm going to roll through here my Raiders free agency plan, and I want you to grade it. A, B, C, D, or F. Remember, I'm cutting the fat. So Jimmy Garoppolo, Hunter Renfrow, all of them. I'm signing Christian Wilkins, Damian Lewis, re-sign Illuminor, Greg Van Roten to add to that offensive line a little bit. Then I'm going to sign Kendall Fuller, Drew Tranquill, offer Jacobs a team-friendly deal. If he takes it, the deal's done. Plan's done. If not, let's go get Gilman. Let's go get Kyle Van Noy. I want you to grade this A, B, C, D, or F. However, there is another important part of this. If I'm going to do a free agency plan, I also have to keep in mind what the draft ends up looking like. So this plan was based on the Raiders trading up, going to get Jayden Daniels. I also want to try to find a starting offensive guard. So if the Raiders, let's say, got to move picks first round and your second round pick, if I'm in the third round, I'm taking an offensive guard there to put as your starting right guard. Then I'm going to look for a day 3 running back because we'll see what the Josh Jacobs situation is. So I'm talking like Marshawn Lloyd would be my number 1 pick in round 4. Drafted day 3 tight end. The Raiders ended up meeting with Theo Johnson from Penn State. Could be a name to keep in mind. And then I'm going to look for a day 3 athlete. Somebody that I just think is an absolute stud. Maybe I can use him in special teams. Maybe I can use him in the secondary. Maybe he's another depth piece at linebacker that Antonio Pierce can coach. This is my perfect Raiders free agency plan for 2024. All right, y'all. I do want to say real quick, we do have some breaking news, not around the Raiders. The Rams are re-signing guard Kevin Dotson on a 3-year deal. So the deal is 3 years, $48 million. That includes $32 million guaranteed. So the first 2 years, it sounds like, are guaranteed, but $16 million for Kevin Dotson. I'll be real. I thought that he was going to be around that number. To me now, I'm curious to see what Robert Hunt gets. Robert Hunt's probably going to get maybe just a little bit more, but it's an interesting deal. The signings are starting to roll in here.
Yeah, solid linemen don't come around too often, so good ones get paid.
Yep, good ones get paid. I think he was the top guard probably entering free agency, but ends up returning to the Rams. Let's go to Sir Chai. I changed my mind on Sierra and her husband in LV. I don't know, like you want that? Like you're okay with Russell or you're not okay? That would be my question. You're either okay with it or you're not okay with it. Speaking of jerseys that I just randomly ordered, Jersey Boy Greaser, what up, man? Trade up for Daniels, sign Robert Hunt, Leonard Williams, Kendall Fuller, and Drew Tranquill, then re-sign Jacobs, Illuminor, and Van Roten. Oh, boy. All right, so Robert Hunt, 17. Leonard Williams, 17. That's 34. Kendall Fuller, let's say 13. Drew Tranquill, that's 5, so 18 plus 34, let's say 52. Re-sign Jacobs, let's say that's $10 million right off the jump. 62, Illuminor, let's say 70. So 74 in total of everything that you just said there is about what it would cost. And again, I was only working with 64, so yours is going to be a little bit more expensive, which that means your just-in-case money. I had about $28 million left for just-in-case type of money. You're only going to have 18, but then 12 of that's going to go to the draft, so $6 million. If you're okay with it, which maybe you are, maybe you're not.
It's tight.
It's tight, though. Jersey Boy Greaser, it's tight. You get a little bit of grease, though. It's not as tight. All right, final call here to get in our 50-50 raffle. And remember, one person that's watching the show right now did some legendary GOAT shit, and tomorrow's Friday happy hour is going to get on, and it's going to get popping from the jump. We're going to get boots flowing right away. This is your final call, though. Raider Fan 209 said, what are the odds on drafting Michael Penix Jr.? I would say, in terms of the quarterbacks that I think are the most likely to draft, I will continually say that I think Jayden is the quarterback that's the most likely to draft because it's the guy that they want. After that, it can be a coin flip. Like, if the Raiders draft Penix at 13, I won't be happy about it. If the Raiders end up getting somebody like a Talisi Fuaga, a J.C. Latham, a Terrion Arnold, I don't know, Joe Alt, I don't think Alt falls, but Olu Fashanu at 13, and then they trade back up into the end of the first round to get Michael Penix Jr., I still won't love it, but I think that he has an opportunity to be a good quarterback in the National Football League. All right, here we go. One more time here, final call, and this is going to be a hefty race. I just want y'all to know that. So Fluhey is in 3 more times. Fluhey. And then I see Ryan Bass, you in. Carl Sinez in. Jorge Cardle in. Anthony, last name Marigil. I got Rebel Montana is in. Final refresh here. Actually, Anthony also is in twice. What's up?
We got Mo here sending in the 2, making sure he says he didn't hear his name in the race.
Mo Shav? I got Mo Shav. I don't see where I have Mo Shav typed out. I'm pretty sure I said it, though. Yeah, Mo Shav, you're in. I got you in here. You're good, Mo. But that's what you should do. Call me out. Sometimes it gets a little bit crazy here. Rustin Long, you in. So as it stands right now, we got 69 people in. It's a good amount.
It's nice.
It's a good amount right there. So let's just say that's what? Basically 350. Winner would get, if my math, I mean, it would technically be what, 345? I'll round it up to 350 for math's sake. That means winner's going to get $350 here on the Raiders Report. All right, I'm going to send this to you, Chip. Sent you all the names. I know that I got to get out of here in about 10 minutes, y'all. I am meeting up with Alex. We have some wedding stuff to do. We're going to the venue that we're going to do our vows at, and I usually give you guys a heads up, like if I have to do a show a little bit quicker. I got a bad memory, or maybe I didn't listen. I don't know, one of the two. And so I got to get out of here just a little bit early. That's on me. But tomorrow's show, because somebody in this chat effed it all up in a good way, tomorrow's Friday happy hour is going to be nuts. It's going to be nuts. Thaddeus is the last name that I'll let in, because that means now we are at exactly 70 racers, which means you get the opportunity to win $350. Good luck to all of y'all. It's going to be electric, man. This race is going to be electric. I can't wait to see. Is it? What are we going with? Oh, all right. We're going back to the ponies. The ponies are interesting. The ponies are definitely interesting. So winner of this duck race is going to get $350 freaking dollars. That's nuts. These horses, you got to shuffle them up too. Dude, this is, I'll tell you right now, we got 70 names in here. So if you don't see your name, it's because there's just a lot of horses. We got a lot of horses here in this race. Good luck to each and every one of y'all. Ready? Ready. 3, 2, 1. Let's roll. Let's roll. Oh, man, Luis Rodriguez gets out to an early start there, followed by Juan Gutierrez, Darren Morris, Ryan Campbell down at the bottom, Daniel Tapchi.
I'm up there, baby.
Jerry Kester. Oh, that's right. Chip is in this one. So is Chugs. Watch out for Chugs. Actually, Chugs is starting to make a charge here. Justin Gilbert, L.A. Crash Horse in an interesting spot. Hellcat Caillou, who's down there on the bottom? That's Marigel. Anthony Grain with the lead. I know everybody's watching the show right now thinking to themselves, there's no flipping way that Anthony Green is going to get another dub. I'll tell you what, he's right there. Chip! Chip's got the lead!
Come on, baby.
Is Chip going to come away with a dub? Oh, man, Ryan Bass. Ryan Bass now takes the lead. Watch out for Jamari Murray there. Jody Skog in a very interesting spot. 13 seconds to go. Whose horse is going to win the race? Is it going to be Jody? Jerry Kester down here at the bottom. Ryan Campbell. Who is this?
Oh!
I don't know. Jerry Kester.
Oh! Man,
what
late
a
charge.
Race. Oh, I didn't know if Martin, I was going to say Martin was close. Anthony Green, man, it's actually insane how often Anthony is in the top here. This was a hell of a race. My real question is, I didn't see my dad. I didn't see, oh, Chugs is right there. Fluhy's down there. My dad was in this race. He fell way, way behind. Hellcat Q is in 18th. Chip, you came in 20th.
Fell to 20, man.
Oh, man, if you're not first, you're last. Luis Rod came in 27th. 2 Fluhies right there. Abbott in 30th. Thaddeus, that late entry, 36th. Chugs, 40.
Yikes.
All right, so you beat Chugs, so that's important. Who's getting the butthole pick? There's Mo Shav. All right, we got him. Jamari Murray, his fell behind a little bit. We got Fluhy down there. Crash Dog. No way. No way. I haven't seen my dad's name yet.
60. He's at 60 right here.
Oh, he's at 60? He's like, shit. All right, well, there's two. I put my dad in twice because he sent in. All right, so Ryan Campbell gets the butthole pick. Congratulations to you there, Ryan.
Congrats. I'm jealous.
Ryan's the big winner today. Ryan's the big winner today. I'll tell you what, man. That was a lot of fun. That was a lot of fun. So, oh wait, who won? I literally just I was so concentrated. Jerry Kester. Jerry, I'm sorry, man. I got sidetracked here. Jerry, I need you to confirm, if you could, down below that you just received $350 here on the Raiders Report. That was electric, man. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. That horse race was good. We might have to go back to. I feel like the dogs. Have you done the dogs yet?
I have not done the dogs.
Dude,
That's a good one?
the dogs is really good. Even like the Cupid one, it's good. I don't know
I
if
like
you've
the ones
seen
where
that.
they're like clearly moving fast.
See,
And there's a lot of movement as well.
Cupid is a good one too, because like that one is like constantly going back and forth.
That's what I like, the back and forth all the
Horse,
time.
dog, Cupid are all good races. Jerry Kester, I just sent you the money, and unfortunately, I got to go, y'all. I appreciate all y'all for tuning in to today's show. And remember, tomorrow, 4 p.m. Eastern Time, 4 p.m. Eastern Time, live here on the Raiders for 1 p.m. Pacific, happy hour. Bring your drinking pants, because somebody wants to get this thing going a little bit wet and wild. I think Chugs is back tomorrow. So he'll be partying it up with us, so just be on the lookout for that. Again, shout out to Chip for pulling up here on the Raiders Report, helping us all out. It was greatly appreciated. I will see you guys tomorrow live here on the Raiders Report. If any breaking news happens, I will do my best to come back tonight. If I can't, I'll probably put that one in Chugs' hands just because it is wedding related, and if I tell Alex I got to go, she's going to kill me. But if any breaking news happens around the Raiders, I will do my best to go live here on the Raiders Report. Enjoy your Thursday. See you tomorrow. Bring your drinking pants.